thoughts. He came up to me and he goes, he said in Spanish, he was like, "Good kid," and then just kissed me in the head and gave me a hug.
Yeah.
But that's all he said.
That's it. That's how much you get. And
Oh,
yes,
yes. That
I
just
mean, to
lines up
me,
perfectly with my image of him in my
yes,
mind. Just
yeah. Here's another perfect image. To me, he said, "Finally, you scored a goal, first one of the season. Finally." I was like, "Yeah, thanks."
welcome to the Player Manager Podcast. We are back in better than ever. I'm Zealand Shannon. Maybe you know that by now. And what you definitely know is my co-host, the Tony Cruz of South Florida, Julian Gressel. Hi, Julian, and happy Father's Day.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. How was your weekend?
It was good. I went home for Father's Day in Tampa, Florida. Made it out alive. Wrestled a few alligators. We took my dad to a Santana concert. It was actually fan. He's 76 years old. Apparently, he played at Woodstock, and
Wow.
they brought out a stool, but he was still playing guitar solos for an hour and a half, just like he was 20 years. It was wild to watch, honestly.
That's cool. Oh, that's great. We went to a water park.
Oh, nice. Did you?
So
Are your
my
daughters going on the big slide yet? That always scared me as a kid.
not yet. She's not quite tall enough, but we
Oh,
went on the little ones, and I even took the baby on the ones, and she loved it. And I feel like my inner child and my wife's inner child also they kind of come out when there's water involved. So we absolutely love the water park in our family, and we'll be going there a lot more. And finally, for the first time that I've been in Florida, it finally happened, Zealand. I finally got a sunburn.
yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Wait. I'm stunned it took that long. Do you
I
put on
know.
sunscreen like every day or something?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been very, very meticulous about it, but this one, it was one of those days that'll just get you. You know, it was an overcast day, and sun wasn't out. Actually, it was just warm, and but I didn't put on anything. Obviously, put on some on the kids, not really myself, but my shoulders were a little bit burnt yesterday, and it was a weekend of firsts, I guess.
No, you're entering the there's four seasons in Florida. There's fall, winter, spring, and then inside of an oven. That's the
Yeah.
fourth season, and you're now entering that for the first time as a native Floridian, and it was probably not going to be the last time, as meticulous as you may be. But that I'm stunned. I'm beyond impressed. It took you that long. I'll be completely honest. And what happened first, the sunburn or the goal? We're going to get to the bottom of that during this podcast because Julian Gressel did score a goal today, a goal that was so impressive that even my dad texted me about it on Father's Day. 26th career MLS goal in what was a really ridiculous Inter Miami comeback that, of course, we are going to talk a lot about. It happened without Luis Suarez, without Leo Messi, but there was a very, very important Leo in that game who, and I am very happy to announce this, we will be interviewing later in this very show. Not Leo Messi, but Leo Afonso, who I actually used to go to school with at the University of Virginia, and he scored the dramatic late winner in that game. We're also talking about Copa America, which is going to start on Thursday. But first, there's the European Championships, which I feel like I kind of need to just introduce it and get out of the way for you here. But before we do that, I want to make sure that everybody is, if you're listening, subscribe to this podcast on your whatever your favorite podcast platform is. Doesn't matter which one; it's totally your choice. And then drop a review as well while you're there. But yes, like I was saying, the Euros. Julian, congratulations on Germany.
Thank you. It was a good start.
It's bashful, anyways. Germany with a 5-1 win over Scotland to raise the curtain. The first time in a while that I've picked a team to be good, and they actually were good. So I was really happy that I didn't curse Germany in any way with that prediction. But I thought Scotland was going to put up much more of a fight. Did you get a chance to catch some of the game?
Oh yeah, I watched the first 35, 40 minutes, and then we took off towards Philly. The timing of that plane ride was awful, but at least I got to see the first two goals, and I kind of took off with a very calmed down mind after that. And I was like, all right, the boys got this. I got to see how the anthem played, how the guys were lining up, and all those types of things, and I had goosebumps sitting on the plane. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Just watching them, how they started the game, playing, and then obviously scoring the goals as well, which took the air right out of Scotland. And I want to talk about that moment. Did you see the national anthems being played? I kind of
Yeah.
want to talk about that a little bit.
No, yeah, absolutely. I remember you before, just to refresh our viewers' minds here, before you talked about how this was kind of a big moment for Germany, almost. Like this was a really big, important tournament. And you talked about how nice the last tournament that Germany hosted was and how everybody came together. And then you texted, I believe it was us. I think it was our producer, Michael, and myself, about how moving that anthem was for you.
Yeah, like I said, I think the vibes needed to change in Germany, and obviously before that happens through performance. But even before the game, when I saw or when I heard, when you really had I had the headphones on like this, and you used to watch the game on the phone, and you turn it up, and the commentators were a bit quiet as well. When the German national anthem played, the whole stadium sang it. All the German fans sang the national anthem, and it just gave me chills. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is an incredible moment, for obviously Germany, and for German soccer again after having some down years. But it was a very, very indicative moment of showing me that, okay, this can be a real special summer in Germany. And then they back it up with a very good start and a very good, obviously, game in general, and a very good win. And that type of moment, that type of feeling, I really hope that's going to come out in Copa America for the US as well. And I really hope that the boys that are going to be on the field can feel the energy and feel the support from the US fans, and that really lifts you, gives you so much confidence and so much belief when that happens, that this whole country is behind you. I'm literally having goosebumps right now. Like you're playing in front of your home, in your home country, in front of your fans, and there's nothing better than that. It was just awesome. I texted my brothers and I was like, oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. And they texted me back immediately. It was like, yes, me too. It was just, all these memories that I talked about in the last episode about what it was like in 2006 at the World Cup in Germany. You kind of, you had that feeling again. And it was a feeling of unity and a feeling of togetherness. And that, I'm so happy that the German people were able to give the guys that on the field, and kind of lift them up that way. And I really hope that this can kind of become one thing in the US as well.
I think that especially if Copa America goes well for the U.S., we're going to talk more about that later. Obviously, that momentum can really build into, like, it's going to take time, but I think maybe by the time we get to the World Cup, if we
Yeah.
beat Brazil in the quarterfinal or whatever, yeah, obviously it's going to take a ton of work and some of Lady Luck's help to do that, right? But really galvanize people and get people thinking like, oh, the U.S. men's team is good, and then 2 years from now, everybody will kind of be ready for it. Takes a while to get the kind of history together that the German national team has, but the U.S. is going to give it a shot. But I'm always curious, because you hear a lot of coaches and a lot of players go into these types of tournaments and say, "Oh, it's just another game," and all this other stuff that's happening around it. It's just 22 players in between the same lines that are the same distance apart usually, and how much does something like that anthem before the game? I mean, you talked about how it made you feel. How much of an impact does it have in the actual performance itself? Because it really seemed to mess with Scotland. They did not play well. I mean, Germany just ran all over them.
Yeah, it's always like, it's difficult for me to describe, because for me it can always go both ways, right? Like, I'm more of a player that kind of needs it to be more even keel, more steady. If I get too emotional and too kind of into it, then I tend to overdo it, right? And it can also be negative in a sense, right? So it needs to be just the right amount of, all right, guys, let's go. Like, we're here to, this is it. Like, let's go, guys, and we can do this. And it gives you confidence and that energy, right? That's kind of what I mostly feel off of that energy of, like, if I think back to MLS Cup, for example, I played both MLS Cups at home. So in front of, the fans, that team that I was on, one in Atlanta and one in Columbus. And especially the one in Atlanta, I felt that it meant so much to people.
In front of a record crowd at the end of a record-setting year, Atlanta United, in just their second year of existence, have won MLS Cup.
Because Atlanta had been deprived of a championship in all sports for so long, and this team was so new, and we were so successful, and it was just the perfect thing to just top it all off and crown ourselves, MLS Cup champions in the second season. And that you could really feel that from the fans, that they really wanted this. So that is almost like a feeling of, or it can give you almost a feeling of, oh man, we really have to do it. It can put too much pressure on you in a sense, right? So it's really, about how you challenge it, how you view it. But I like to obviously draw the positives from this. Taking the pressure, yes, and being accustomed to that pressure is one thing. If you haven't felt it before, you certainly got to experience it to really know what it's like. But it can be overwhelming for sure, but it can also be very uplifting and very motivating to give you the right type of energy for the game.
No, I actually, I don't know if I'd ever thought about the fact that it could be a bad thing. With certain countries, it kind of turns into a bad thing. We've talked about it, like whether Mexico or England or these kind of fan groups that can kind of spiral out of control, maybe in a bad way. But you don't necessarily think of the German fandom, or particularly, I mean, I'm sure the Atlanta fandom can probably turn that way too, is swinging that way. So maybe it just has to do in part with your national or local mentality when you're talking about around a club. But
but I feel like in Germany that happens a lot, where the crowds are more negative at times, especially after not having results, kind of going your way in major tournaments over the last few years. So I could see it being kind of like, but the anthem wasn't like that, right? But I could see it being very like dull in a sense, right? Or like anxious, or that kind of oh, let's just see what happens here. I don't know if I don't think this is gonna go well, but sure, I'll support them. That type of energy, instead of that euphoric, that let's go guys, come on, we're with you, like we're here to do this together, like that type of energy. There's a difference in that, and there's a difference of guys going to the stadium like that.
So I'm gonna propose a thought project then. I think that I'm gonna try and create a metaphor. Basically, the crowd being behind you is great as long as you can provide that first initial push to get things going in the right direction. But let's say they go out and Scotland scores the first goal in the first 5 minutes. Then that's when the anxiety, that's when the anxiety shifts. But if you come out and you dominate the ball and score in the first 20 minutes, then it's just going to be a freaking and that's, that's what happened. Just turned into an absolute party. And really the Euros have been a party overall. It's been good match after good match. But curious question. When you are a professional athlete such as yourself, how much do you actually pay attention to these major international tournaments? Like, do you have the time to watch some of these matches, or do you just check the scores?
Some of it I try to watch. Some of it I try to at least watch highlights. I'm not sitting down and watching now. I mean, there's 3 games a day, which is very difficult to do, right? They start in the morning, then kind of goes all throughout the day. Obviously, it's nice if I have a moment, I'll just have the TV on in the background, but I don't actually have the time to sit down and watch every single minute of the games. I wish, but I don't. So it's more like nice to have it when I want it, in a sense. But the big matchups, I certainly sit down, or when I'm in the hotel on a Saturday morning before the game, like you don't have anything to do other than just rest your body anyway in the hotel. You sit together in the meal room with Busquets and Jordi Alba, and you watch Spain.
Oh, yeah, that's decent. That's decent company for watching a match. You kidding me? Come on.
Yeah. I never thought that would happen, but that was a cool moment for sure.
Oh, you're watching it with Busquets and Jordi Alba. I'm sitting here. I watched it with my brother on the couch, explaining what's going on to my dad. The normal stuff. Oh, we are not this. That's freaking cool. But that actually, I don't know if you know this. I did a live watch along to the entire World Cup. I'd always wanted to do it. It was a project. I watched every second of the World Cup. I woke up at 4 a.m. every day, which is particularly brutal for me. I woke up at 4 a.m. every day and watched every single match, and it's not worth it. I'll be honest, because sometimes you wake up and the match kicks off at 5 a.m. and it's 0-0, and you're just like, why?
Yeah.
I did that for multiple 0-0 draws, but also waking up, I got to see Saudi Arabia, Argentina live, full 90 minutes, which was that was awesome. But that also that means
so you
that
probably watch more soccer than I do. Yes.
My ego just tripled in that
100%.
one sentence.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, baby. I'm using that. I don't even know how. I'm putting that on my resume. I'm getting new business cards. I'm using that. But I guess it kind of lines up with what I was going to say. Because I'm like, I basically watched every match in the Euros so far. So quick rundown of what happened. Switzerland beat Hungary. I'm just blown away by the fact that the Swiss team is still good. Did you ever get to hang out with Xherdan Shaqiri?
I have not, no, but obviously, I know Fabian Herbers quite well from the Chicago Fire, and yeah, he seems just like a chill guy who, yeah, I don't know, nothing crazy to him, nothing weird to him, but
kind of sums up the entire Swiss national team, I feel like. Spain beat Croatia, but ended one of my favorite streaks that has existed since 2008 of 163 consecutive matches where Spain outpossessed their opponent.
Oh,
they
wow.
won 3-0, but they were outpossessed by Croatia.
Okay.
It's
Interesting.
just bizarre.
I mean, Croatia was my dark horse, so not a very great pick there.
I too, I feel like an idiot because I definitely picked them higher than they. Looks like they're going to end up finishing. Italy beat Albania, but Albania scored 25 seconds in, so that was awesome. The Netherlands beat Poland. Denmark and Slovenia drew, but Christian Eriksen scored, which was just the coolest thing that happened in this tournament. Because, of course, in the last Euros, he actually had cardiac arrest on the field, which I watched live. I don't know if you were able to see it live, but it was almost scarring. Like, I spent the next couple of days just in a haze because of how traumatic that was. It's insane he's gotten back to the level he's at.
I love his quote from I think probably after the game. He was like, "Well, I played more minutes than I did in the last Euro, so I'm just happy with that."
Oh, that's so good.
The irony is hilarious, but
yeah, that's world class. England beat Serbia in the most boring game of the tournament so far. Slovakia upset Belgium in what is technically the largest upset in the history of the Euros. Yep. France beat Austria, but Kylian Mbappe broke his nose, which begs the question, Julian, have you ever broken your nose?
Thankfully, I've not. I mean, it looks like it. It's somewhat curved, but that's just, I guess, the human I am. I was born with that, and I did not. I haven't broken my nose yet. Have you ever? Because you've played goalie and basketball and all these things, right? That we've talked about before. So
yeah, no, the goalie. I broke my cheekbone playing goalkeeper, so I checked that one off, but it's not as visually obvious, although it did rearrange my face. Thankfully, I was much uglier before. I broke my nose playing basketball. It is I've broken a lot of things. I've lived an adventurous life. I had a wicked growth spurt when I was young and was basically made of glass for 5 years or so. And broken nose is actually not that bad. It does not hurt that much. The real problem is your face swells up, and anytime anything gets anywhere near your face, like if you just tap the side of your head, you kind of feel it reverberate through your whole skull. Yeah. So people are saying Kylian Mbappe is going to miss the whole tournament. I don't think so. You put him in a Batman mask, he'll be fine. But he will not be able to head the ball, and he is definitely going to have a headache for like a week. But he should be okay. Out of all things that you could have broken, that's the best one.
So do you think he's going to at least miss a game maybe, or no?
No.
Just like swelling and things like that? No.
Yeah, I mean, it swells up, but it is a weird lack of pain. What you really notice is this kind of swelling, and there's no, like, obviously you've, been a professional athlete for a long time. You've described different types of pain. There's no sharp pain at all. When you sprain something or you pull something or you roll your ankle, there's this sharp pain. It's very dull. The pain is literally a headache. And then if you just get hit in the head anywhere, it just feels like a headache. Now, I'm sure if you whacked yourself directly in the nose, you'd feel it. Like, it would suck. But that's why people, when you break your nose, you're supposed to push it back right away. And I'm sure that's what the team doctor did. And as long as you push it back, then your airway is fine. It just has to heal. Yeah. And given the fact that this is the Euros and Kylian wants this really badly, that's all he was talking about, that he really wants to win because it's the only major international tournament he hasn't won. How dare he? He's probably going to play. And there's nothing dangerous about playing with a broken nose either. So he definitely can push through this. Now, if it was a broken nose and something else, then he'll start missing games because you break anything else in your face and then it gets really, really dangerous. But the nose it's just extra. You just get a little plastic surgery to put it back if you want.
Gotcha. I'm sure they'll have the resources to do that. But I mean, maybe they win the second game and then he'll just sit out the third one just to kind of give him some extra time to heal because they know that they'll through or something. I don't know, maybe something like that.
Yeah, no, that's what they're probably hoping for. I'm trying to remember who the other two teams in their group are, Poland and Austria. So yeah, I mean they should be able to. Or wait, they already played Austria, Netherlands. I'm so good at this. But they should be fine. I mean, it's freaking France, for crying out loud. The final game, because we record this on Mondays, was Romania winning 3-0 against Ukraine. Romania scored multiple goals from outside the box. I know basically nobody on this team. We both picked them to suck. So my question to you is it an actual philosophy to go out there and just say you're going to shoot from everywhere? Is that something that a coach has ever come out and said and just, hey, you get a window, take a shot? Because that's what it looked like they were doing, and it just worked.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's more so like when the conditions aren't perfect. So when it's really wet, or when there's maybe a second goalkeeper in goal, where you just kind of want to test them. Moments like that. That's when the coaches usually come up and be like, "Hey, let's see if we can get some shots off," and get some strike zones framed to just test him or just see kind of how he's dealing with the conditions. But other than that, not really. I mean, hey, if you feel good and you kind of have a good run up and a good lead up and you feel like you can strike one, why not? Worked for them for sure.
They were, yeah. I was to say the conditions for Andre Lunin were the Euros, and he did not handle those very well in goal for Ukraine. He just wasn't able to stop it. But that's the catch up. Whatever happened on Tuesday is a mystery. But if you can speak to us from the future, maybe we'll be able to win some bets or something. I'll put together a parlay. The next up is Copa America, where we did our predictions last week. So if you want to listen to those, by all means. You also can find some of those on the Instagram page. I've been reliably informed. So if you want to see some of our predictions, they are there. But there was one development in the Copa America sphere before it kicks off tomorrow, as you're listening to this. And that was the Brazil comments by Ronaldinho. I don't know if you saw this, but it was really weird. Yes. He made a post essentially that was talking about how there just wasn't enough imagination or quality, and he just wasn't going to root for Brazil at Copa America. He later came back and said, "Oh, of course I was kidding," but it got really awkward. What did you make of that whole situation?
Yeah, definitely strange. I mean, for him to kind of just say that, knowing that it'll probably spark something really, really, controversial or some negative opinions about him or whatever. Maybe he just wanted to light a fire in the team, but then to walk it back like a day later is kind of also very interesting, without them having actually played a few games or actually proven that it could light a fire. So yeah, definitely interesting strategy from him. Maybe he didn't expect that the negativity was going to be that much, and that's why he walked it back immediately. But
I'd be surprised. I mean, when you've lived as Ronaldinho as long as he has, you just assume everything you say is going to be volcanic. That's why I was surprised he was so wordy in his criticism. He was very much like, "Oh, there's no creativity, there's no superstars, there's no joga bonito."
Maybe he lost a bet too, or his buddies took his phone and it just.
That's the kind of punditry you can only get in the Player Manager podcast. He lost a bet. It's probably honestly, it's one of the better explanations for this whole thing that I've heard. But if you're a player and that kind of noise is going on around the dressing room, how much does that actually get talked about in the dressing room? How much does that affect the players?
I think you see it, you take it, and I don't think the players. I don't really think they won't. I would be affected by it too much. I think you would probably, that's an outsider's opinion in my mind, and somebody who probably doesn't know what's going on within the team, what the tactics are, what the coaching staff does, what they work at on a day in and day out basis. The thing about the no superstars, I think, is a bit over exaggerated. I mean, you have Vinny Jr., who's probably going to win the Ballon d'Or maybe this year, so like that might be as big as it gets. So I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. That's why I would just kind of categorize it as noise and maybe a little bit of a guy who's trying to speak up to get a little bit of something out of the group and something out of maybe guys that he thinks can do more.
I I feel like Ronaldinho would be the type of guy that would get involved in that. He was Brazil's spirit animal for basically a decade. So I feel like it's also a special position when you have somebody that's a legend like that speaks up, because Ronaldinho is very, very likely was very, very likely a poster on the wall of a lot of these kids when they were growing up and they were watching Ronaldinho highlights. And so hearing from him probably is going to affect them a little more. I personally prefer the idea that Ronaldinho, I tweeted this, is actually I never got it in everybody's orbit. Well, I tweeted basically that Ronaldinho saw Brazil draw the United States and then just decided to throw it in after that. Just, I've had enough. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The U.S. is a good team, and we talked about this, that the U.S. had a reaction to their performance against Colombia and played well. Kind of nullified their attack, and nullified the things they wanted to do tactically, and ultimately played a really, really good match in a sense, right? And we're a little bit unlucky to not score a goal. Obviously, Matt Turner had a great game as well on the other end, so there were chances on both sides. Ultimately, very good performance from the US, but to kind of spark that into Ronaldinho for me, it would be a bit crazy.
Yeah, well, it's something about the United States brand name. It just does something to like Europeans and to people from Brazil and Argentina, or even if the US is good, it just gets to them a little bit more. But the US, it was a fantastic response, especially going down early to Brazil too. That was a real good opportunity with a crowd that was like 60-70% Brazil to fold it up and just throw in the towel. I was beyond impressed that they responded. Pulisic obviously scored a great goal, but the U.S. outside of that was very much in that match. There was one passing sequence where they shattered a Brazilian press in a way that looked very Brazilian. I was proud to watch our team play. Unusual.
Yeah, no, they should have scored there. I think Pulisic, right, had a chance there. Alisson made a great save, but yeah, those moments and those sequences, they give you so much confidence when you play against a good team like that, and you do it on the back end of a really tough result, a really tough performance. And now this, is a step in the right direction that gets you into the tournament with more confidence and not that feeling of, oh man, we have to prove ourselves. This is something that was, I think, it almost couldn't have worked out any better to have a really poor performance and a poor result. And then you go and prove it against one of the best nations, the best teams in the world, that you can really do it. And now, hopefully we get off to a good start on Thursday. And no, when do they play? Thursday is the tournament starts. I think the US doesn't play until
like the 23rd, which I think is Sunday. Yeah.
So excited, for them, excited to kind of see now how they can, again, have a good response to that performance, to take the next step and really push.
And all of this has been a precursor, though, to what happened in Philadelphia with Inter Miami. In the moment of the season, I'm hearing it called by Tom Bogert and every reputable MLS pundit, the Julian Gressel goal, which was a fabulous goal, also. But to set the scene, it was another early goal from the opposition. Philadelphia Union score in the 3rd minute. Right, and then go into halftime. I'm sure it was a rousing speech. Tata Martino looked at you and said, "Hey, Julian, we need something special." And you came out at the beginning of the second half, down 1-0. Walk me through it.
Yeah, first, I mean, obviously very annoyed that we got scored on again 3 minutes in on a counterattack of that as well, with one pass from the center back that beats our whole team to, for them to have a 1v1 with the keeper and score. It's just too easy early on in the game, and it just sucks. Like, simple as that.
Yeah.
And so you try and fight back all half, and they make it difficult. They're a tough team to break down, and they make it hard on you, and couldn't find a way. And then, like you said, I think we had a little bit of a more heated halftime talk, where it wasn't so much about tactics. It was more about will and about wanting to really put the ball in the back of the net and have that final kind of end product. And the ball fell nicely to me there in the 47th minute, and I was inside the box. Benha plays the ball towards me. I kind of try and just control it, take it down, and It bounces a little bit high where I'm like, oh, I just got to put my laces through it and not take any more time. And ultimately caught it really, really well. A really good strike. One of my nicer volleys that I've taken in my life in a game. And tied the game up 1-1. So a good feeling to finally get off the mark.
Campana again, the return. Jordi Alba brings this down sweetly. Played into the 18. Oh, Kremoski couldn't take the pass cleanly. Gressel gives it a go and fires it home.
It's been a while, and honestly, every time I kind of missed the chance after games, guys would come up to me and be like, "Oh, you should have scored." I was like, "Yeah, I know, but I'm going to score when we actually really need it." So I was just like, kind of, trying to delay it, and I felt like, I guess in that moment we really kind of did need it. So I was like, all right, here it is. And now hopefully the floodgates, or maybe not the floodgates, but the gates are open. So hopefully there's more to come. And obviously happy that, we could ultimately tie the game that way. And with the way the game played out later on, I was kind of going to be quite happy with the tie, to be honest. And then we steal one at the very end. But no, very good feeling to score myself for sure.
No, it was. Hey, the floodgates are opening. Come on, I'm starting the Golden Boot campaign right now. Yeah, it's the leading goal scorer in MLS on the way. Now you already got a bunch of goal contributions. You sell yourself short on that, but that was a majestic goal. But the situations you're talking about, 69th minute, David Ruiz gets a second yellow card. And so you're playing down a man for 20 minutes on the road, 1-1. You're probably, like you were saying, thinking a draw is not the worst thing in the world. And then in the 84th minute, another yellow card that was maybe a bit questionable. Do you are you one of the people that likes to argue those sorts of situations?
So I understand the referee, and I argued with him. But it is something where, yes, I think he can give a yellow card to set an example, because it is a point of emphasis that the league had told us players and the referees before the season.
It was for knocking the ball away, just for people that weren't able to watch it.
But he didn't boot it away. He didn't boot it over the fence. He didn't boot it up the field. It was like a 10-yard kind of a pass towards the referee, towards one of their players, and towards myself, to be honest with you. So just like a little flick away. So again, I think, yes, you can give it to set an example. Do you give it to as a second yellow card? I'm not sure. When the team's already down a man, it's, I actually jogged over to try and kick the ball back. I was like, here, let's just get on with it. I didn't want to take the risk, but then I guess it was too late. And the ref was quite yellow card happy in that second half anyway. I think he gave out quite a good amount. So, it's just one of those where I feel like you can have a better feel for it all, to not impact the game even more. But I also understand him giving it because, again, it is a point of emphasis and it is something that they talk to us about, and something that when you are on a yellow, you need to just be careful with. And David's second yellow, again, also a silly challenge in a sense, right? Like, you don't have to go in like that when you are on a yellow already. So, those moments are moments that our young players will learn a lot from, and kind of just gain experience that you can't do those types of things when you're on a yellow card to really jeopardize the way, obviously one, put the other teammates that you kind of leave on the field in a shittier spot, and at the same time, obviously jeopardize the results in a tough environment. It worked out, but those are usually those results, and I think Tata mentioned that in the post game. Usually those moments and those things that happen are making you lose the game.
But the guy that kept it from being a bad situation and turned it into a great one, he's joining us right now. Leo Afonso is now with us, and Leo, but we're going to talk about your background and kind of where you've spawned in from at Inter Miami, but we just spent the last 10 minutes talking about the Philadelphia Union game. How was that game from your experience? Like you come onto the field, you're down 2 men, and then you get this opportunity. It just presents itself to you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy game to come into. I thought I was going to get subbed on earlier. I was sitting on the sideline. I'm like, okay, I want to get subbed on. I'm going to play against my old team. I'm excited. And then we got 2 red cards. And then I was like, okay, like, I don't think I'm going to get in. And then Tata calls me and Noah in the last, I think, like 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, go out there, boys. Kind of. And yeah, it was just, I just went there and I didn't think of, I was going to score. I didn't think anything. I was just like, I'm just going to run as hard as I can and make sure we don't give up a goal.
I love that. That's a good mindset. I was at the bench already at that time, and just kind of, I feel like you just wanted to throw in some fresh legs, and knowing that even against 10, or even when we were 10, even, man, we still had some counterattack moments. So there was definitely, going to be opportunities. And I know, did Tata say anything to you, or was it, because I don't even remember, to be honest. It goes so fast. Honestly, substitutions happen so quick for us.
Yeah.
But did they say anything, or because you understand some
He,
Spanish obviously as well, right? So you
yeah.
can have a bit more of
Yeah.
a conversation.
Yeah. He just said 4-4. He said
Okay.
4-4, you play left. That's what he said to me. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So you see the mindset, Zealand. It was all about trying to keep that 1-1,
But I feel like there's this delusion from people that don't play professionally, right? There's so much more detail that goes into it. That Tata Martino's like, whoa, we spent hours in training working on our 9-man formation. But then it boils down to you're going on the field and it's like, we're playing a 4-4. Everybody should be able to figure out how that's supposed to work.
Tell you what, we've never worked on our 9-man formation. But no, it obviously worked out. And you then had a great opportunity. Talk us through the goal. I just want to hear it from your perspective one time.
That's the youngster Bright who got in the path of that, and he'll work this ahead. 2-on-1 for Miami if they hurry here. This is Afonso with an exhausted Kramaski making a run. Afonso! Go! Are you kidding? Leo Afonso has given 9-man Inter Miami the lead in second half stoppage time.
Yeah, so I think Yannick got the first. Yannick won the ball, and it was kind of like in between me and him to get like the rebound after he won it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get it. And then Yannick took it away. And I was like, oh, I wanted that ball. I wanted to run. And then I just kept running because he went to the side. I was like, let's see if he'll play me down the line. If he kicks it up, I can go and press the center back or something. And he played me a perfect ball. I didn't even think I was that open. And then I look up, and right before I get the ball, I look up and I see I'm wide open against the one center back. And then I see Benha trying to get up next to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna drive at the center back. I'm gonna see if he makes a decision that will open up something. I was like, if he comes straight at me, I'll just slip Benha in. If he closes off Benha, then I'll just go myself. And then as soon as I was getting to him, I saw him shift a little bit of his body and plant his foot like he was gonna step in to get the ball. So I just touched it past him down the line, and then I was 1v1 with the keeper. And then I remember seeing from the shots we had before, he was saving everything going to the far post. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try near post. And then, I saw the little space, and I put it there, and it worked out.
I was watching that play, and I'm just, in the back of my mind, I'm screaming past the ball. It looks like one of those plays in FIFA where the sweaty play is to just pass the ball. That's fascinating to think about how you were breaking down what the defender was doing in that situation.
Yeah, especially that week. I don't know if Julian remembers. We did a lot of 1v1s like the first days we got back, and I was feeling confident. We trained a lot of that week, so I was feeling confident going 1v1.
No, it was good. But honestly, if you missed the shot, I would have told you to pass the ball too, and I would have been mad at you. So
I think a lot of people would be mad at me right now if I didn't pass that ball. Didn't score.
All good, you certainly made the right decision in the moment. And to think about, I love that because you described something that, in my opinion, not a lot of young guys have, and that's watching the game while you're on the sideline, or watching and training also to then when you come in, you make an impact, right? You talk about the goalie saving a lot of things down the far post, and kind of like, you watch that and you saw the defender, all those things. It's not just about getting on and seeing what happens. It's also about what you did before, and that's while you were on the bench. So, like I said, kudos to you, and congrats on the goal. what a moment, what a great moment. Running down the sideline, having everybody kind of come up at you, and certainly must be. I've never had a game-winning goal like that, so you've got one up on me there. What is that feeling like when you have everybody kind of reach? I'm sure. What was your phone like afterwards?
Oh my God. I think I got like over 1,500 followers right off the bat, and then 45 text messages. Like people, like a lot of people that I haven't talked to in 8, 9 years. Like, oh, I saw you score. Good job. Like, congrats.
Yeah,
It was blowing up.
yeah, that's awesome. That's good. But no, it certainly gave us a good feeling in the locker room, and seeing everybody smile and happy like that was a good feeling. And to do it with you and Yannick, guys that obviously came in through the draft this year and had played in the second team, earned their contracts through different types of ways, and are not on the biggest salary, not the biggest stars on the team, but you guys make an impact and win us the points like that is unreal. And that's what teams that ultimately make it all the way and win the Supporters Shield and our first place teams that in this league, those guys are so important, like you. And certainly, yeah, love it.
What does Tata Martino say to you after that goal?
I don't remember because my adrenaline was going, like my adrenaline was at all-time high. I remember they did an interview after the game, and I don't know what I was saying. I was saying whatever came in my head. But Tata, he came up to me and he goes, he said in Spanish, he was like, "Good kid," and then just kissed me in the head and gave me a hug. Yeah. But that's all he said.
That's it. That's how much you get. And
that just lines up perfectly with my image of him in my mind.
Here's another perfect image. To me, he said, "Finally, you scored a goal. First one of the season. Finally." I was like, "Yeah, thanks."
And you talk about you have 45 text messages. What was your favorite text message that you got, or just funniest person that got in touch with you?
I'll say my favorite was probably my head coach at UVA, because he was always on me too, and didn't compliment me ever. And then he texted me, "So proud of you," and then that one felt good.
Oh, that's awesome. Who was? Remind me of the name. I think I remember it, but I don't want to say it wrong.
George Guillt.
Yeah. Okay. That's Guillt. Yeah. This is where we hit the Twilight Zone moment for me, because when you scored that goal, then I went, I know that name. Why do I know that name? And it was because I also went to the University of Virginia and worked in the sports department. And I broadcasted when I was a sports broadcaster for soccer, amongst other things. I broadcasted a lot of Virginia soccer games with Leo Afonso playing up top, and talked with George Guillt and all of that. And it is honestly, when I'm calling those games, I never thought that people from UVA were able to make it to like the stage that you were just able to score on. Trying to remove myself from how absolutely ridiculous it is that we went to the same school in the first place. When you were playing at UVA, how present is the idea of MLS in the first place?
Well,
more present than like Providence College, for sure. Right?
Fair enough. Yeah, you guys both played college soccer. This is something that's very interesting to me. Is like, what is that change in level like, and how optimistic are you that you're going to actually make that change?
You want to go, Julian?
No, go ahead. It's you. I interrupted you, so my bad.
No, you're okay. Well, like I said, I played at Miami before I went to college, and every summer I would come home. They would let me train with the second team. So every summer I was 3 months home. I was training with the second team. Every summer I was home, and I just kind of always had like that mentality, like I need to get better. I want to get better, and always thought about it like if I do get the chance, I'm going to work and I'm going to get to the level that I need to be. So I always had in the back of my head, like, I want to get to the MLS. So I think not a lot of people have that opportunity that I had to, in the summer time off, to come and train with the second team of Miami, for example, or with another professional team, and I get that experience and see what it's like.
Yeah, I think to piggyback off that a little bit, I think it's that type of opportunity to really get impressions of professional soccer, while you also get the detailed level of coaching and the exposure, obviously at UVA, which in the college system, at least when I was at Providence, this was a little bit before your time, a few years before
Only a
I
little
was
bit.
there, 2013 to 2016. So UVA was one of the best programs in the country, and I'm pretty sure it was still when you were there. So that's why I said that it's a much more realistic thing going from UVA to MLS than it is from maybe Providence College, who hasn't produced as many players. But UVA certainly is one of the powerhouses in that sense, I think. So I'm sure that had to be in your mind a little bit when you committed to go there, right?
Yeah, yeah. My decision was just based. It was the best school that I thought was the balance between soccer and academics. It was like this is the
Yeah.
best of both worlds, kind of.
Yeah, awesome. That's good.
And working our way back kind of through your career, because this is the culmination of kind of what you've done so far, just 7th MLS appearance. And just by the way, our producer handed us something. You have basically the same goals per 90 ratio as Messi now, so I think you might have completed the sport. Messi's goals per 90 is 1.04, yours is 1.02. So you just grab that, and I'm hearing early shouts for MLS MVP, but we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. We got to stay focused. So we're going to work our way backwards through your life story a bit, and the draft process for the uninitiated, which would be me and most of the people that listen to this. What is it like going into the MLS draft, and what are teams saying about opportunities? Because obviously you get drafted and you got to work your way up through the reserves, and I'm sure that experience is mutual. It's got to be really, really challenging, because drafts in other sports, you get drafted, in the NBA or NFL, you're on the team. You're already on the team. You're playing from day one. And if you're a high draft pick, then you're, supposed to be the savior almost. MLS is different, right?
Yeah, you're not guaranteed a contract. So I came in, and I think it was a week and a half preseason with the first team, and then they sent me to the second team because I think you guys went to Saudi. And I remember I was training and playing with the second team, and I think it was 2 months before they offered me a contract for the second team that I was training and playing for. And I was like, oh my God, am I not even going to get a second team deal? And it's just like the doubt starts creeping in, and I'm like, wow, I thought I was better than this. Like I thought I could get a contract, but then one day they called me and they offered the contract. But yeah, like you said, it's really tough, especially for kids that don't know what it's like being in that pro environment. It can get in your head like, oh, I'm not gonna get a contract, and you lose your confidence, and yeah, it just can go downhill from there.
It's definitely nerve-wracking, and it's something that, yeah, you are, like you said, you're drafted, which ultimately ticks a big box that you've had your whole life to becoming a professional soccer player. But then at the end of the day, you're not even guaranteed to be there 2 weeks later. Like it's like such a high to such a reality check in a sense, right? Where you have to like ground yourself the right ways and make sure that you're fully being in like, all right, I got to prove myself again, almost like I just got drafted. What do I have to prove? I just tick this box of making it. So it's so difficult to come in so humble and kind of, like you say, be in that nervy spot again to, oh, you're not going to get a contract. What is it going to be like? And, I thought I got drafted, but now I, have to fight for this even more. And so it's certainly a difficult situation to be in.
And then the next step in that process is when you get called up to the first team. How did you find out that you were going to be? I mean, because getting called up to a first team in MLS is one thing. Getting called up to the first team that has Leo Messi and Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba, and and Julian Gressel, obviously, that's a whole other thing. How did you find out, and what was your reaction when you realized you'd be, not just training in the preseason, like you said, but suiting up with those guys in match situations?
Yeah, so the first game I played was Red Bull away. And I remember, I think there was a couple of guys that were away on, I think it was like a small international break. I don't know what it was. So they called me up, and they called me just to train. And it was like, I think it was Monday. And I think Tuesday, Tata came up to me and was like, he said, you travel with us this weekend. You play with us in Rebel." And I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm getting rostered for the first team." And I was like, "Oh my god." And I remember being there. I was just taking everything in. I was quiet and I was looking around, trying to see like everything, feel like the space, and no one said anything to me. And then I think we were down 2-0, and I remember it was raining so much that day, and then they called me. It was 55 minutes into the game. They called me to get subbed on, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I think I had played one game with the second team, like official one game with the second team, and then they called me in to play 30, 35 with the first team, get subbed on, and yeah, it was a good experience. I was so nervous before, but then as soon as I started running around, it went away, and I just focused. It was good.
The game sucked, but that's a different story.
Yeah,
But no, I think I remember that. I think there was like four of you guys, 3 or 4 of you guys that had come on the trip, and that barely trained with us, and it just goes so fast. We had a couple injuries, we had guys on international break, and then all of a sudden you have the opportunity presented to yourself. You're right there. You get to play, you get to come in, and you certainly did the right things to make Tata, have you call you back whenever we needed you again. So those opportunities, you described it in a sense before of like, oh, it's so nervy, and it's, I don't know if I'm going to get a second team contract, and then you get it, and then all of a sudden you're in the first team, after one game with the second team, so life comes at you fast at times, but you also got to be ready, and you got to kind of be mentally prepared for those moments to come. What are you smiling at, Zealand? You smiling?
Because I know what I'm going to ask next, and I've been waiting for it the whole time. Have you been able to play with Lionel Messi at all? This is like a precursor question to what I'm going to talk about. But have you actually been able to play in a game with Leo Messi yet, or have you kind of interacted with him?
yeah, I have. I trained in, I think, the Colorado game that I scored too. I think that was my first game starting. He got subbed on, and that was the first time I was playing in a game with him. And I don't know, when he looks at you, I I feel like he says something inside my brain. I feel when he looks at you, you can tell exactly what he's saying.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
We'll add telepathic to the long list of abilities that he has. But there's actually our producer, very good at this sort of thing, found an old interview of you from when you were at UVA. You were, of course, from Brazil, which obviously gives you a unique perspective on, an Argentine great, the Argentine GOAT. But you said in the interview, I'm very sorry that I'm bringing this up, that your favorite players were Kaká, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Neymar. But you didn't say Messi. Obviously, in that moment, you probably were not thinking you'd ever have an opportunity to play with any of those guys. But
Yeah.
have
you
your
stick to that
rankings?
statement? Yes.
Yeah. Have your rankings changed now that you've been able to kind of play with Messi and watch him train?
Yes, and I would explain my decision I'm making on saying that. So I liked to watch the players that I could kind of imitate, like I can watch a Ronaldo or Kaká video and I can be like, okay, like he's right-footed, he plays a similar position to me, I can kind of do it like he does it. And to go back to your question, yes, he's the best of all time, best ever. So he is my favorite player now, just because I now understand, seeing him so close, how much better he makes you as a player.
That was probably the best possible answer to that question that could that I couldn't even if I had 100 shots, I couldn't have answered that question as well as you just did. So do you know? Yeah. But what's it like? Your family's Brazilian, and you're playing with Messi, who's this, just kind of is standing in Brazil's way in Copa America coming up, and before, like, how do they react to that? Have they talked to you about it?
No, I mean, my dad's like, you see what he does and you copy, you do the same. Like, see how he hits the free kicks, you do the same too. And I'm like, okay, Dad, I'm trying.
So it all goes out the window, it sounds like.
Yeah.
The rivalry. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I moved away from Brazil when I was 13, 14. and moved to the U.S. in 2014. So I'm kind of disconnected, from like that rivalry and that craziness from South American soccer.
Gotcha. So Argentina Brazil final in Copa America. Who are you rooting for?
Oh, I'm gonna say I'm rooting for Brazil, but I think Argentina wins. Their team is
Okay.
too good right now.
Okay. I'll take that. I mean, if the U.S. versus Argentina, I think I'm going to root for the U.S. too. So
Yeah,
we'll we'll see when it hopefully it gets to Argentina Brazil final. It would be incredible.
yeah.
Uh,
I
it,
wouldn't be mad if Messi scored. I would be happy, but I
Okay.
would want Brazil to win. But I don't know.
yeah, Brazil 4-3, Messi hat trick. Everybody's happy except for Messi, I guess. But
So has there been one? I mean, for me, there's a few, but has there been one memorable moment or a conversation or anything like that? Not necessarily just with Leo Messi, but kind of since you've been part of the club Inter Miami, I guess. Has there been kind of this one moment that sticks out to you that is it maybe this goal even, to be honest with you, but is there something that kind of is in the forefront of your mind?
Um, like a memorable moment that I've had so far.
Yeah, with Leo or with any of the guys.
the first moment, Julian Gressel shook your hand and said,
Hello,
welcome.
what's your name? Yeah.
I'm trying to think because I feel like the first month I was just in a like it was
Yeah,
like a dream. It didn't feel
yeah.
real. This is hard for me to think about
It's funny because
exact
like
moment.
I'll give you some time to think about it. I'm going to tell something about when I was a rookie. This is a while ago, obviously, as we've well established here, Zealand.
You're welcome.
It, the so it's funny because when I was a rookie, I was very very similar in the same exact. Obviously, I didn't play with these types of players, but we were in a new team. I was in Atlanta, and everything was nuts. The fans were nuts. Like the team was good. Like we were, and I was starting first game of the season. I was starting. I was like, "What is happening?" I've just played college, and now I'm starting, and all this stuff is happening. I'm like, Tata plays me in different positions. I'm in the team. These fans love me. They call me Gresselmania. All these types of things, and um, it doesn't settle in until like a few years later, where then you like think back and you were like, wow, what a great time and what an unbelievable feeling that was, and how much fun it was and all those types of things. So it'll come over time as you kind of process it and you kind of settle in a bit, but there still must have been a moment like, come on, don't leave us hanging here now.
Yeah, I think it was that Rebel game. I think just
Yeah,
be feeling like so shy and like quiet, timid. Like I'm like, okay, I don't want to talk too much because I don't know if the guys are gonna be mad. I'm like stepping like on glass, kind of. That's how
yeah,
I felt a little bit that game, and then I felt like when I went in, I did well. If I the ref didn't call back, but I had an assist that game to Noah, and I was just like, oh wow, I can do this, and
yeah.
that was kind of like the moment that made me like more confident and made me like realize that I am capable of playing at this level.
No, that's good. It's a good answer. I mean, debuts always stick out, right? I always say this to new guys, especially. I always say this that you weren't just given this opportunity. This wasn't just handed to you. You've worked hard. You deserve this. You deserve to play at this level. You deserve to be here, and that should give you confidence in itself. But to experience it, obviously yourself, I think is something really cool. And I mean, my favorite moment was the goal of yours. My favorite moment of you. That was the goal, obviously, last weekend because um, it gave us, I think, in the team a huge lift, a huge boost of confidence for you guys, and something that we needed, and we need to be in first place.
And that, as much as I would love to leave it on that touching moment, there's one other thing I really want to ask about because I was making fun of Julian for not getting to hang out with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence at this with the Bad Boys movie event. How did you manage to pull that off? You're hanging out with movie stars now. Well, I mean, I know you're basically Messi with the goals per 90,
Okay. No, I think it was I think Evan texted everyone and he was like, "Oh, like, are you leaving town or are you gonna be in town?" and I had to get injections for my groin, and I was like, I'll be in town. I'm just hanging around, and the media team reached out and they said, hey, I know like you, Schneider, and Ian are the only ones in town. Would you guys want to go to a Bad Boys event? And I was like, yeah, what kind of event is it? They're like, oh, you walk on stage and you talk to Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. And I was like, yeah, sign me up, I'll go. And yeah, it was a crazy experience just seeing them in person. It was
What were they like?
super chill. They were so nice. Martin Lawrence he's so funny. Like he doesn't even try to be funny, but he's just a funny guy. And
Yeah.
Will Smith he knows exactly how to make you feel comfortable. I felt so comfortable when I walked up there and he started talking and asking questions and talked about the clothes I was wearing, said it was Miami style, and I started laughing. I was like, okay.
I love it.
Wow, I would have that moment framed in my mind forever if Will Smith told me I looked good in Miami style clothes. So congratulations on behalf of the universe for that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was jealous of that moment. I saw the picture on Instagram. I was like, man, I should have stayed in Miami. But no, happy for you to kind of get to experience all the glamour that sometimes obviously gets taken away by all the other guys on the team. But you certainly earned it and you deserve it. So that was awesome.
Thank you.
And thank you for agreeing to come on Julian's podcast, or my podcast.
Yeah.
We're still trying to figure that part out.
Yeah, of course.
We appreciate you coming on. Obviously, very good week to have you on, and certainly nice to get a perspective from a younger guy that comes in, and we're happy that you got to be here and got to share your experience a little bit. Really appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Thank you for the invite, Julian. Appreciate it.
See ya.
See ya.
Thank you so much to Leo again. And now it's time for our fan question on this podcast. This one comes from Luis Diaz. I'm assuming the winger on Liverpool. He asks on Instagram, having won MLS Cup twice now, what were some common threads in both championship winning teams that contributed to the success they achieved?
That is a difficult question, to be honest with you, because every team is different that you play on, and every team has different characteristics. I think obviously you have to have quality, right? In terms of players, in terms of guys making the final play, the ruthlessness in a sense, right? And both teams had that, Atlanta and in Columbus. And what really helped also was somewhat of a path where we had a lot of home games. Because playoffs, traveling and on the road, playing on the road a lot is difficult. And we were able to play at home quite a bit for all of those. So, those were, I guess with Columbus, we were resilient to go to Orlando and to Cincinnati to win there. But, to kind of have that killer instinct even away from home is also, I think it goes back to just the quality of things. And then obviously a mindset of a championship, right? Of a winning mentality, to not be okay with ties on the road, to, have that all year long. You can't just flip a switch and turn it on. So you have to have that type of mentality, living and breathing through the organization from the top down, not just within the locker room or not just from the coaching staff, but no, everybody in the whole building needs to have that. And you have to know why you come to work every day, and that is to win the game on the weekend and to win it all at the end of the year. And I think both organizations obviously had that for me, and that was something really fun to be a part of, because you really had a sense of togetherness, of like there's this main goal at the end that you really want to achieve, and everybody kind of work towards that every day, and it's something that kind of just lifts you and kind of pushes you a lot.
And I'll just put you on the spot. Do you feel like Inter Miami has that?
Yeah, because I think Inter Miami is a club that obviously has the type of owners that really push the envelope in terms of a salary. They want to win everything. Front office try to maximize every little cent that they have in the salary cap. Obviously, we have the players that have won so much and that have so much quality. So. And you have the same coaching staff that I had in Atlanta. So absolutely, you have that in Miami. And it's been nice to kind of be a part of that it's a winning culture, and you really want to win, and that happened for us more so than not at this moment, and hopefully we can continue that. If that leads to a championship, ultimately is never guaranteed, right? But it's something that gives you at least the chance, and that's certainly something I feel that we have.
And you say Inter Miami has that kind of mentality. Well, you are going up against another club that you obviously experienced that mentality with, Columbus, the night that this episode comes out. What are you expecting playing your old team?
Yeah, it'll be special. I'm actually getting my championship ring. They're going to bring it down on the plane.
No way.
So that'll be cool to kind of see and kind of see everybody in that organization again, right? And just kind of, because teams, when you win championships together, it really bonds you for life. I see teammates now from the 2018 team in Atlanta, and you're like best friends all of a sudden again, and that's what I'm really excited about, to see everybody, because I have really good relationships on that team, and I'm looking forward to just reminiscing a little bit, thinking about those good times as well. Seeing the ring, those types of things will make you feel good, and kind of make it really nice. And on the field, it's a different story. I want to win. I want to keep winning, and it's just like they do. I know that they do really bad as well. So it's that type of mindset, that type of mentality that they have that I've just described, in terms of winning mentality that Columbus has, that we have, and those are two good teams that are going at each other. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a big match, a good matchup. Obviously know how they play really well, and know what they're trying to do, know the players really well. They haven't changed too much in terms of personnel, so should be an intriguing matchup, and certainly an exciting game to be a part of, and to see if we can kind of continue to do it without our best players obviously missing that are in the Copa America.
And we will be here along the way to see if that actually comes to fruition. Thank you, everybody, for listening. That is it for this week. And thank you, of course, to Leo Afonso for joining us. Please follow us on Instagram at PlayerManagerPod, and let us know what you think about the episode. See y'all.
Bye, guys.